Honestly, I think the art scene is starting to shift. Exhibitions, they don't look like they used to be. New shows now are becoming more of an experience, more than just things on the wall, the whole experience. I ended up buying my own histories from eBay. I started to travel outside of the country. I really had a different mindset of what those people think of me. And as a Muslim or Arab or Saudi. I try to work with these things and put them in a configuration where they become a platform for discussion. All of us, we've been watching anime, but at the same time, we've seen war on TV. One day I found this image of Yoda who fits perfectly, same lighting as King Faisal at the UN. Should I post this or should I just keep it for myself? A friend of mine who was like, you should do this. So he called his friend from the New York Times. I had the busiest 3 days of my life. It was all an attempt to open a new dialogue to see if there is a way that we look at ourselves and look at the world differently. I try to make people laugh. But in order for us to laugh, we need to understand why we're laughing.
Hey, welcome to the Media Majlis podcast. My name is Mikey Mhanna. This podcast series is powered by Afikra, and it's in collaboration with the Mememememe exhibition, which is sort of exploring the power and potency and idea of memes in today's society. And joining me is an artist who contributed to that exhibition, Abdullah Al Jahdhami, also known as Shawish online. So yeah, Abdullah, welcome.
Hi,
How are you
thank
doing?
you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really good. So maybe an easy way to start is I'd love to hear you introduce yourself the way you introduce yourself at like when people just like run into you. How do you describe what you do?
Okay, so my name is Abdullah Al Jahdhami or Shawish. I'm an artist and I do other stuff as well. Sometimes I get involved in design, also film production, but most of it, I think this is some kind of a way for me to make a living, because I can't just be a full-time artist. Uh, and I studied mechanical engineering, and after like 4 semesters, I just decided to, just give it a try, and see what I can do. So I started as a graphic designer, and from that point, I start to know and learn more about art until I produced my first artwork in 2012, which was for the Saudi female runner, Sarah Attar. She was one of the first Saudi female who participated in the Olympics. And then I got my chance uh, back then, since that. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
You grew up in Riyadh, right?
yes. I come from a family who are originally from south of Saudi Arabia, but my dad moved to Riyadh when he was young, and he joined the government. He was a police officer, but in the supply units. And also, my mom is a biology teacher, and I never thought that my mom's, you know, daily job, one day will come across, my career as an artist, and maybe we can get to
Yeah.
that story later. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So a huge part of maybe let's start with your contribution to the meme exhibition, because I think that's a good place to start. It's probably what you're most well known for. And then I kind of want to backwards track into how that's related to your broader practice and your thoughts on on archives in general. So maybe let's start with that image. I'm going to actually share my screen, and I'd love for you
Yeah,
to like tell the story of
sure.
this entire collection. Hold on, let me share my screen. Okay, so tell me about this photo, what it was originally, and your interpretation of it.
Well, this was a series of work. Uh, Actually, this is only one of them.
Yeah.
So back in 2013, you know, part of my practice is that I go through, archives, public domains about the Arab world, and I try to find, some images that somehow I can relate to, or my people can relate to. It was fun at the beginning, and the more I dig inside, I realized that most of these images that we have about the Arab world are more like political images. You know, there is no there is not so much content about daily life, and so I decided to, you know, do something different with these archival images. And a friend of mine told me that, like, between the United Nations and the Lucasfilm studio, around like 20 minutes drive. So time passed, and one day I found this image of Yoda, who fits perfectly, same position, same lighting as King Faisal at the UN.
Mm.
So I started to Photoshop this, and I was actually confused. Should I post this, or should I just keep it myself? And back in 2013, like, a friend of mine, Abdullah Al Jahdhami, he was like, You should do this. You should just, you know, throw it there. And then, yeah,
Did you
I
have a
was
following
just,
online at this point? Were you like producing stuff a lot, or was this like for you and your friends?
I used to have, but they were like around like 5,000 people
Yeah.
in my Instagram account. I used to have more on Twitter. Uh,
Yeah.
but anyway, so I posted this. It went easy. People loved it. And, I did an exhibition in 2013 in Dubai, and it was the first time it was exhibited. It was an exhibition called A Line in the Sand. And this was the time when I was introduced properly to the art scene, in the Arab world, especially in Saudi Arabia. But the story doesn't end here. As I told you, my mom is a biology teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2018, after we've done a very successful tour in the US, we did around like 10 exhibitions. Uh, so I went back, and one day I received a message from my mother telling me that, like, it was just a picture, like, my artwork with an Arabic caption underneath. I've never had that, before. And I was saying, maybe this is something, you know, that after the tour we just did, like a catalog or an article. I don't know. And she was like, no, no, this is right in front of me now, because she's at the school. When she's texting me, she said, this is in the nationalism textbook. And I didn't believe it, so I went to search online. It was like nine or 10 tweets about this, and I saved them all. I archived them as well. I said, okay, so maybe nothing is gonna happen. I was kind of scared, and then I told my mentor, Abdullah Al Jahdhami, about the story, and he was saying, "Listen, I have a good idea. So he called his friend from the New York Times, and then, I had the busiest 3 days of my life, immediately, like like a few hours after he posted, because there was an online uh, article, and there was the printed version which came later, but people started to share it like crazy, and then Saudi media knew about this, but the difference between the two medias, Saudis were focusing more on the minister himself, not the work of art.
No, how did
And
he allow for this to happen, basically?
yes, and you know, it was all over like TV. Like I saw screen of like Fuji TV in Japan. They have my face like
Really?
next to the reports. And I asked them if I can get the footage. I didn't get a reply. But anyway, after like 3 days, the Saudi National Day came and everything went down. It was more like a relief because I've never seen Twitter sending me notifications saying that I need to filter my mentions. I've never seen this before.
That's
'Cause
crazy.
It was yeah, and I've archived all this. I screenshotted everything. I saved all the tweets. And I don't know, maybe one day I need them.
Were you worried? Was your main emotion like fear?
Yeah, a little bit. But, you know, as I told you, after like, I wasn't worried at the beginning when I first produced this work because one of the King Faisal's grandsons bought the edition. He thought it's cool.
Yeah.
So I wasn't scared.
Yeah.
But I was scared, because when there's a hashtag and you're included in this hashtag,
Yeah.
people get you know like blindfolded, and they just attack.
Yeah.
They and this is what I was afraid of is more of like the community, sorry, the society.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, so yeah, and it went smooth, and too bad that most of the editions, like I sold them all back in 2014, I think. I sold them all like to one gallery. I only have my artist proof, and one of them is at the museum, the Media Majlis Museum right now.
I feel like you need to do another run.
There have been a lot of discussions with me, with my friends, and they're also artists and my mentor as well. And
Yeah.
I think there's a way, to make something with a bit of a twist. I've also made a different version. For me, it's more interesting because I've worked with the calligrapher from Iraq, Abbas al Baghdadi.
Mm.
Turns out he's a friend of my father, and I didn't know he lives in Riyadh. And this guy is a legendary, and he's the last of his generation. And he used to do all the calligraphy work for Hizb al-Ba'ath. And this was one of the reasons why he flew from Iraq when he moved to America. So this guy wrote almost every governmental document for the Iraqi government. And if you go to my Instagram, I've posted the artwork when Abbas al-Baghdadi died. May his soul rest in peace. And there is another version with his calligraphy.
Which one is it? Let's see.
If you go down, you will see like a guy
This one?
like with the glasses. Yes, this guy. Just click on it. Yes. This is Abbas al-Baghdadi, and this is the version I've created with his calligraphy, and I made it look more like a vintage newspaper from the 1930s 40s.
So,
And if you
yeah,
scroll,
yeah.
you will see his signature in the next page. And I don't know, but it was really, an honor that I've met this guy.
So I want to talk
Yes.
about this idea of kind of disrupting and remixing the archive, which I feel like that's what you're doing. I feel like you're going back into the archive and almost back into history and being like, what if it was different? What if a different story happened then?
Yeah, part of my practice is all these materials that I'm trying to collect, you know, all these information that I'm trying to shove inside my brain was initiated because I wanted to know if, because I started to travel outside of the country back in 2012, and I really had a different uh, mindset of what those people think of me, and as a Muslim or Arab or Saudi. And somehow I started to learn and to see things differently, and I wanted to go back and check if these things or these objects, whatever this content that I found, has anything to do or of shaping the way like my identity is right now at the moment for me and for my generation. Uh, and I try to work with these things and put them in a configuration where they become like uh, a platform or discussion. And you know, sometimes I get comments like, "What does this thing has to do with this thing?" For example, and it's like the only place that those two things can come together is me and you as well, because all of us we've been watching anime, but at the same time we've seen war on TV, and we had all these stereotypical image about us and how we were seen by what they called West. I don't know, it's West too, but but it was all more of a an attempt to open a new dialogue, with my people, with my generation, and to see if there is a way that we look at ourselves and look at the world differently.
Can I use this moment to show a different one too?
Yeah, sure.
Like I feel like this is another example of that, right? Like you're looking at these
Yes.
these moments in history, these iconic photos. Many of these photos are not, our region is not sort of like, doesn't have the power in these moments. Right?
Yeah. That's a good this is really nice. Yeah. I never thought of it this way. But yeah.
Yeah, there are these moments where we don't have the power, right? And
yes.
But we're there. We're just not there isn't like main character energy in those moments. Even if we're center frame, it's not, we're not setting the table, right? And in it, you're adding this extra character in it that seems so out of place that it makes you actually analyze everything. Because these photos, to me, always are like, I've seen them hundreds of times and you don't notice. But then you see Darth Vader in the middle of it, and you're like, wait a second, hold on. What else have I been missing? There's now that I mention it, now I must have been missing so much. Now let me look at the facial expressions of every person.
Yeah.
So anyway, tell me about this one.
This was the Farisai agreement. 1990.
Yeah.
And, so there was like two options. Either we go with the UK or with the US. So we were, like Saudi is like at two options. And then we had Lawrence of Arabia. And I've been interested to know more about Lawrence. But, after I watched the film, I've read some of the articles and I've read a lot about,
Yeah.
all the journalists, who came to Saudi back in that time or the Arabian world. And, I came up to one conclusion. This guy was trying to sell us somebody and he just failed, and,
Yeah.
and he was actually a spy.
Yeah.
He wasn't a hero, like we thought he is. Because, I know a guy, I'm going to link this to this shortly, who his name is Stephen Stapleton. And he used to call himself Lawrence of Arabia because he's saying totally the opposite of what Lawrence said, which there is no art in Arabia.
Mm.
So Stephen was saying, I'm the one who's saying there is art in Arabia. And he created the Edge of Arabia
Yeah.
with
Stephen
Abdullah Al
Stapleton.
Jahdhami and Ahmed
Yeah.
Marth. Yeah. And somehow, most of these are some of my personal experiences with people I know as well, conversations that I had with people, uh, and my obsession with vintage stuff.
What is it like? What sort of stimulates your imagination when it comes to these like viral moments? Like here, I will add a few others. So, like this one.
Yeah, this is like locals might understand this. So basically, Albaik is a famous restaurant, but it was only available at the Western region.
In Jeddah.
And yes, so
Yeah.
and by the time they announced that they're gonna open new branches outside of the Western region, people started there, you know, and part of when I think there is a bit of a misleading or misunderstanding. Like when I say pop culture
Yeah.
to Saudi people, they think Warhol, uh, you know, uh, Peter Blake, and they don't think uh, about their own pop culture. And
Mm.
Albaik was 100% Saudi pop culture. And I've tried to somehow put this kind of debate between people about this restaurant.
This is a defining American moment, right? And like you're intermingling it with with Saudi and Arab pop culture, and but it does seem mischievous. Like your work seems mischievous.
Well, yeah, because also Albaik sells fried chicken, which is the, you know, the
The most
Bible
American thing ever.
of the yeah, yeah, of the Americans. So,
Yeah.
and also this one you're looking at is the digital version. I've used a technique called photo etching, and this technique is an old technique. So you have like this zinc plate, and then you etch the photo with the laser on top of the plate,
Hmm.
and then you put the ink on top, and then you put it under the presser, and you move it, and then you have like one addition. This technique helped me to remove whatever trace of Photoshop in the image,
Oh, okay.
made it looks very real. So this one you're looking at is the digital version, but the one with Albaik you just opened. This one was
the photo etch version.
Yes, this is the photo etch
Yeah.
version.
Yeah. So I think this is I believe this. Let me pull this in 1 second. This is the photo etch version, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Did these all come at once? Were you basically saying, okay, I want to put together a collection of these like reimagined memes from history? Take like historical memes and current pop culture and sort of like reclaim and rewrite and remix the archive, like put these glitches into the archive.
Honestly, when I first made this, I never thought about memes at all, but somehow one of them became like very famous meme. Uh, but the production of these didn't come all at once. So I did the Yoda one first, then I did the Captain America, like few months between each one. And then by the time I was in a program called Create and Inspire, I was in London and I worked with Stephen Stapleton, and he was like, "Listen, I know those people who are willing to do this for you," and he's like, "Come, I want to show you some samples." And I've already had 3 of them, and if I had 4, I would have done 4, but I already had only 3 artworks, so I gave it to him, and they made these for me, and I loved them. Even though they are a bit dark, but I love it.
Yeah. When did you start putting them based into like newspapers?
This was for the tour we did with IFRA in the US back in 2016 until 2017. So I was thinking to come up with new versions, bigger ones, so I had this like huge uh, amount of newspapers that I have, and I used to see what date exactly uh, these events happened, and I tried, to put it like to at least take the header of the newspaper that has the exact same dates, and what comes underneath that is fake. Like nothing is really.
Yeah. So I have a question for you about sort of your relationship to truth. Do you have like a very loose, like, do you feel like people need to question the truth of what happened and the truth of like historical record? Is that kind of, do you feel like that's part of your the philosophy of your art?
Honestly, I don't know, but I read something for Michel Foucault. He's saying that it is in order for people to be happy, they have to understand what's happening in the dark.
In the dirt.
So in the dark.
In the dark. Oh, so, amazing.
Or in the shadows. Yeah. So for me as a person, I mean, I try to at least understand the whole story, so I don't end up being, full of myself and just, just enjoying my time, and I know it's a huge, wide quote, but I try at least to put it in my daily life. It doesn't mean that I spoil every happy moment, but I, at least when I see something, I try to look like to the origins, to the basic, so to the base of the whatever this thing comes from, and fully understand it, and then I can deal with it. Especially if, I mean, let's take for example a piece of furniture. So either you just buy something cool and that's it, or a specific designer who made something very affordable for IKEA. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It doesn't look the way trendy furniture is, but you know that this is something that was like that had a lot of process until it came here. This is like one example, of something very basic that everybody uh, can experience.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to say that people should be always suspicious about everything and that they should look for the truth. I mean, this is not the kind of dialogue. As you can see, my work is joyful. It's funny,
Yeah.
and I try to make people laugh. But in order for us to laugh, we need to understand why we're laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like I want to share one of the other things from your Instagram real quick? So I thought the name of your solo show at a gallery, I believe in Germany, in Cologne,
Yes.
this past
Cologne.
summer, Playful Disruption, I thought was like a perfect name for what you're doing, what your practice seems to be, right? Like going back into the archive and disrupting, sort of messing with maybe, right?
Yeah.
And as you said, it's a very playful exercise. You're trying to get people to chuckle. You're trying to get people to take this stuff maybe with a sense of humor. But I feel like with that humor, you're sliding in some other, maybe deeper thoughts, right? And trying to get people
Yes.
to not only laugh, but maybe sort of interrogate and reimagine and reconstruct.
If you look at those uh, artworks,
Yeah.
these are actually uh, animation cells. Have you heard of them?
No, please explain it.
So go back to the first one with Sanshiro, uh, the robot, Jumaro. Yes. So the first thing you're looking at, the first layer, is an original frame from the 2D animation.
Mm.
So back then, when they used to do 2D animation physically, they used to draw each frame on a transparent paper.
Yeah.
And, each frame has a number on the corner. So they put the frame on top of the background. That's why you're seeing the background is a bit uh, not too shiny. It's a bit, you know, uh,
Matt.
Faded.
Yeah.
Yes. And you see the characters, they have bright colors because they were drawn into this transparent sheet with type of color that is, I forgot the technical name, but it's more like a nail polish. It's similar to the texture of the nail polish.
Mm.
So production houses used to raise whatever cartoon they've made and start with the new one if it's already produced. But the animators themselves kept the frames they did and they start selling them and they bought like used the new transparent papers and this created a huge market in the Japanese pop culture. So I've been collecting these as well because most of these cartoons were dubbed in Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, and war after war, each production house was closed and those voice actors moved to different countries. And this is how, until now, they don't have, like these countries don't have these production houses anymore. They moved to Qatar, they moved to Bahrain, they moved to the UAE. So I've collected these and I put the first frame and I tried to put something, known also from TV in that time. So this is people praying during the Gulf War in Saudi Arabia. So we've received all these information through TV, cartoons, and the war. So I'll give you this fictional frame, artificial frame of Jumaro, the robot, leading the prayer during the Gulf War. And they're all original pieces. Like this cannot be replicated because it's original found objects. So it's a collage with found objects. And I've used the same technique they used for the animation. If you look at the pink dots on the top, these are called animation cell bars. They use them to, to adjust each frame exactly where it should be, because you cannot have the frame, moving a little bit to the left or the right. It has to be exactly where it is, so it doesn't go outside the frame before they turn this into a film, and then we can watch. And the next one, if you go to it, this also from the same time. Okay, this one is, you can see at Saddam Hussein's push pins was propaganda pins people used to wear. And they are fighting against space battleship, also original pieces, original frames from the animation. And the, I would say, anyway, so most of these stuffs, like a lot of them, especially these pens, for example, I took them from eBay. I have more than 800 successful transactions from eBay. They gave me
I'm surprised that it's not more. I'm surprised that it's not more.
So part of my practice as well is I try to take stuff back that were taken by American army or journalists, whatever, and they start to sell it back in eBay.
Yeah.
So I bring stuff, I bought them back.
You repatriate them.
And I ended up buying my own histories from eBay. Like I started only from 1990, but now I've done like stuff from before, and I've bought stuff from, after 1990. And it was the first, that was my landing point, like to see what happened the day I was born, because I was born in 1990. I didn't experience war, but it was told to me as a story from my parents, from my aunt and uncles.
Yeah. I love that. I love that the way you said that. I'm basically like, I'm purchasing my history on eBay.
Yes.
But you know what's interesting? You know what's interesting, Abdullah?
Yeah.
Is to imagine what does life look like when you don't purchase it? What are the consequences of never being able to like bring that history back? Which is what most people live with in this region, right? Most people don't actually repurchase and repatriate and re-examine and look at the stuff that was from here that got taken and that ended up being written for us. So it's, in some way you're like, okay, khalas, I want this back. Give me this back. I'm going to redo this. I'm going to remix it. And interestingly enough, so often you remix it with it's so interesting. You bring the pieces from there, come in. You're like, okay, fine. I'm going to use Captain America.
Which you told me that he's the hero and he was supposed to save everybody.
Yeah.
But it turns out he doesn't,
Yeah.
Also, I've done like many research about comics before this solo show, but some of them were not produced. And I found a lot of interesting stuff. There is a fictional city in Marvel called Koraq. Have you heard of it?
No.
Koraq. So if you mix Quran with Iraq together, so it's Koraq. And it's an area where comic book artists can have their freedom and talk about whatever they want to talk about, corruption, you know what I mean, and they make people look like whatever they want them to look, and they've used this just to get away from any complaints from readers in the Arab world, and I've created this map as well, but it wasn't produced. Was produced very late, so I couldn't ship it with me to that show. But also there were some artworks about comics from Tintin.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so there's like those two characters, the twins, were lost in the desert in a mission called the Land of Black Gold, and they were lost in the desert, and every time they faced something, it turns out it's a mirage. So they see a palm tree, becomes a mirage. They see an oasis, it's a mirage. Until they've met some Bedouins praying. And one of them says, it's a mirage, I will prove it. So he goes to that Bedouin who's praying and he kicks his butt. And then he said, I beg your pardon, I mistook you for a mirage. And this gives me also a good title, a good quote that we've been all seen as something, like a mirage or like something not real, very
illusion.
exotic, illusion, and until like what I'm happy about is this new generation is crazy. These stuff don't work on them anymore.
Yeah.
I hate to say this because it makes me feel old, but truly, like people now who are in their like early 20s, these kind of stuff, they don't know, like they question it right away. They already know about the stereotypical image, about the cartoons. They know everything. They know that Africans don't look like this, Arabs don't look like this, Chinese people don't look like this. And also, fact that back then, people in the US didn't, in school, I'm talking about children, they don't learn anything about any other culture until they decided to after high school.
Yeah.
So the only exposure to this generation was through entertainment. So you have movies, cartoons, theater, whatever, and comic books. And this was one of the main reasons who set the stereotype, around all the Arab world.
Man, last question I want to ask you is, what did you learn from the Mememememe exhibition? Because it was so filled with information. Like, did you feel like it was weird for your artwork to be a part of it? When it was included, did you feel like, okay, this actually made a lot of sense? Like, what was your impression of that exhibition now that you were able to see it and see your artwork in it?
Honestly, I think the art scene is starting to shift. Exhibitions, they don't look like they used to be. In exhibitions now, they focus more on experiences, food, music, and sometimes fashion. You can see them all together in one exhibition, and it's about contemporary art. And now they have AI, they have technology. I'm sure you've heard of these immersive experiences. Studios like Tokyo Lab and Studio Drift. They make like somehow they came closer. Now, I know there is a big and clear difference between art and design. It's more like the difference between religion and philosophy,
Yeah.
and they don't really, they're not the same, but somehow new shows now are becoming more of an experience more than just things on the wall. You know, usually this is for the art fairs now because the main purpose is to sell it. But
Yeah.
the exhibition is more about the whole experience. Sometimes even the smell comes to the, you know. So when I saw Meme, I loved it because it was totally something different that I've ever done. You know,
Yeah.
and I've actually loved the fact that my work is the typical print among all these screens and
Yeah. And it's like photo etched. It's like it's very
yeah,
old school.
very, yeah.
I love it. Abdullah, thanks so much. Anyone listening to this who want to find Abdullah's work, you can look up Shaweesh, SHAWEESH _. Very easy to find. You can also just look up Yoda Saudi textbook and you'll see a ton of stuff. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.